You're now listening to the Zod and Drea podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Zod and Drea podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much to all of our loyal listeners for always checking us out every Tuesday. Thank you, thank you.
All right, thanks for showing up. And of course, we're going to have a great topic for you today that we're going to discuss a little bit later. One thing that we want to make sure we bring attention to is, I think it's on the 20-something. We're going to get back to the date on you on this, but Zod and Drea will be, actually, I will be hosting a democracy, I guess it's a program that's going to be happening over here in Phoenix, and Drea will also be in attendance, I think you are, right?
For a little bit.
For a little bit.
I do have some commitments that day.
Yeah, but so do I. I think it's going to be a short time, and then we're going to go on later on, but we are going to be hosting something. So we're going to post that on our Facebook page as well as over on the ZodandDrea.com website, so make sure you look for that so you can check us out. We'll also be on the flyer, so we're going to be out there for you on this. It's going to be something that's going to be really interesting that we hope that you're going to check out.
Yes, come out in the community and see us. So, what are we talking about today?
Oh, you're early today.
Look, I'm on it. I am on it.
We're going to have a big gap before we're supposed to do it. All right, so I'm going to waste a little bit of time because you did a little.
Oh, did I jump too soon?
You jumped too soon.
So
it's like a minute and a half.
Pretend nothing happened, everyone.
Because anyway, well, let's just extend ourselves. So, one of the things we're going to talk about is the Aretha Franklin funeral, and that's going to be in the entertainment section.
And for all of those that, everyone that saw it on Friday, it was on every major news station. I don't know about Fox though, but it was on every major news station, and it was live streamed, took up all the time on these major stations all day on Friday, and it also corresponded to when they would go back and forth between her services and John McCain's. But we're going to talk in as much as we can in the 5 minutes about her funeral because it was something that should be talked about.
Right, so next we're going to be talking about relationships, which of course was Drea's birthday on September 1st. September 1st, but by the time you guys hear this, it'll be a few days afterwards, but we're going to go over that a little bit because we had a really good time with that, and we'll just talk about some of the things that you can do on her birthday in case you miss out. And now, what is the topic, as we're still wasting time?
Topic is corporate entities that stand up for political issues.
So we're going to go in a little bit more detail about Colin Kaepernick's new Nike deal, and that's going to be a little bit interesting. Now we're back on time. Let's go underway on the Zod and Drea podcast. So let's talk about, Aretha Franklin's funeral first. Anybody who has ever seen a funeral, if you've ever been to a black church, you already know you're going to be there for a while. Like, that's just how it is. That's how it is. They got bands, they got singers, they got damn near dancers, they got the preacher that got to talk about whatever he's talking about all the time. Everything takes a longer time than, let's say, like the Catholic or, some Protestant or whatever, white people might do. But a Black Baptist church is going to go buck wild. So, of course, Aretha Franklin had passed away, and her funeral, which probably lasted like a week, finally ended up on this day at her real funeral, and several celebrities galore.
Oh, yeah, you had Stevie Wonder, You had Jesse Jackson there, you had
Ariana Grande was there.
Which we'll talk about.
We had Fantasia
that inappropriate
there.
touching there.
We had Fantasia there. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were there. Louis Farrakhan. Shaka Khan, Louis Farrakhan. There were a lot of people that were in attendance. When you have that many people, okay, that are just, Tyler Perry, when you have that many celebrities and people that were you're going to be there for a while, and a while they were there. I think it was close to 9 hours.
Was it 9?
Yeah, I think they said it was close to 9 hours.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a long time. But it was like constant people. Like, you had constant people coming up on the is it altar? Is it that what you said? Is that an altar?
Yeah, it's an altar, I guess. Whatever. They were at the podium, whatever.
So what do you think was the most controversial, I guess you want to say?
I didn't see the whole thing. There was all kinds of controversy. Now I'm looking now that Bill Clinton was blasted for sharing a stage with quote-unquote Black Hitler, Louis Farrakhan, of course it's on Fox News, they're going to try and multiply, anything that Farrakhan has said. Nothing, not that what he didn't say about Jewish people, was good or anything. But, whatever happened that long ago, and I don't know what he's done to repent. I can understand an anger out of a community for that. But when you're gonna lambast Bill Clinton for sharing a stage, that he was invited to, Bill Clinton wasn't there because of Adolf. Bill Clinton wasn't there because of because of Farrakhan. He was there because of Aretha Franklin. Just like why everybody was there for Aretha Franklin. Aretha invited certain people to go and speak on her behalf, and that's who she had there. So, Fox News, they hate Bill Clinton, they hate Farrakhan, so of course they're going to try and make a connection, so they're being clowns. Obviously, the Ariana Grande scandal. I don't even know if it's a scandal. It's almost like up to par with everything else in the religious sect.
It's so much. And it was the pastor that was overseeing the entire funeral services. He inappropriately held her, and his hand was pressing against her boob. She's a tiny girl, right? So this guy has no excuse on how to be appropriate with women of all sizes, because if he's a pastor of a mega church, your population there is going to range in all sizes. So he claims that he didn't mean to touch her inappropriately, but when you see the video, you see that she's trying to get away from him. And many of us women have been in that stupid situation before. And not only was he inappropriate with her with the way he touched her, but he also made fun of her name, comparing her to a Taco Bell menu.
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, that was my whole thing with him was, I don't know if he was meaning to touch her breast, because they were saying he's touching her breast, and I was looking at it. It didn't seem like it to me. Maybe that's just me. It seemed like he was.
No, he was. I've been
I don't know.
there
When
before.
I see touch the breast, I don't know. I'm not gonna say what is or what's not. She's a small girl. I think that his hand was just firmly around her rib cage. But when I say firmly, I mean it's in order to get into that position, you have to have your arm wrapped around someone, and it's a position of dominance.
Yes.
To where she is submitting. So that's why I'm like, I think people were looking at the wrong thing. Not that if that was his intention, that he's like, I'm going to touch her titty. That's the one thing. I don't know if that's what that was. I think his intention was, I see this girl, she's cute, and this is my one shot, and I'm going to pull her. I think he was perverted, and he was pulling her way
domineering.
too close. It was domination. That's what it was. It was a power position that these people in the clergy have. So I don't necessarily think it's like where the whole thing where, okay, he's touching her breast. I'm like, that's not even it. That from what I see, it's the fact that this guy's trying to overpower somebody using his position to make them feel a certain way. Like it's the whole rape culture.
Right.
I think people making it singular. I think that, look, he's touching her. No, look at the whole picture.
And I say yes and yes. Look at, because I've been in those situations with men before. I'm a short girl and I have breasts, and I've been in that situation where all of a sudden they're grabbing me and they are grazing their fingers against my breast.
The only thing I have to say is you are way
bigger. My breasts are bigger. Please be careful what you say. My breasts are bigger than hers.
No, but they are way bigger.
Yeah, but still, when I see that picture, I've been in those situations, and that's what many women are saying. We've all, unfortunately, had to deal with a situation where he's the man of dominance is holding you, and
no, but that's what I'm
leave.
saying. I'm not saying that he wasn't scummy. I'm saying he was.
And that graze.
And it might be the graze. I don't know if that was his intention. I don't know.
We don't know what his
That's
intention
the whole
is.
point. That's what I'm saying. People were saying, he's touching her breasts, and I don't know if that was his intention. To me, his intention. I can look at this whole freaking video.
Dominating her the entire time.
Look, he's dominating her. He pulled her to the pulpit.
And look, she's trying to what's going on
He's
here?
positioning
What do
her
I do?
in a position of power while she is trying to escape. See, I'm seeing this whole thing. I'm going to try and look at his thing anyway. We're going way past over time and stuff. But that's my whole thing. I'm going to look at this thing and we'll come back to it. I'm going to look at it again, and maybe he did. Maybe there's something that I completely missed. But people in the clergy... this is why I don't go to church. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying, I feel for Ariana Grande and anybody else, including you, who's been in that position, especially if you feel the fingers. If that's what it was, and the guy was feeling the fingers. But either way, he apologized. I think he needs to watch himself. He needs
Yeah.
to watch himself, and the entire clergy needs to watch themselves. Anyway.
Moving Reverend Jasper Williams Jr.
Jasper Williams. No. I think he was the.
He was the one that had the speech
He
that
was
went
the
out
eulogy.
for the
He was the eulogy.
That
That's
had
the different
nothing
guy.
to do with her.
No, we're going like way over.
Yeah.
But man, we didn't even get to touch everything.
Right.
Anyway.
Why don't we just talk?
Anyway. Well, I mean, if you want,
I'm good.
We'll talk about your birthday soon.
Yeah. We'll talk
the
about
whole
it.
thing with that is, then we had this man talking about Black Lives Don't Matter. He was talking about single mothers, can't raise men, and
Quote unquote, that describe children as being in a home without a father as abortion after birth.
so of course he was completely obliterated by black people on Twitter and everywhere else for his words. He pretty much was blaming black people for all their problems, saying that Black Lives Don't Matter. And look, I can understand a certain point of, yes, we have to love ourselves a lot more. But you're at a funeral for a woman that you didn't even discuss anything about for 50 minutes because you were busy berating black people. You know, you want to talk about not the time or the place. Like, that's more so not the time and the place to berate just because you got that. You have the bully pulpit, and you have the pulpit, and that's awesome. But when you're sitting there and you have a woman in front of you who raised sons.
To insult single mothers. Yes,
You
and
have a
she
single
raised
mother.
her boys.
Like, you're literally
Alone.
talking about somebody in front of them while they're laying dead in a gold casket, and you're discussing this. So people were not. I mean, when someone said that Stevie Wonder yelled "Black Lives Matter" after he said "Black Lives Don't Matter," like, you know there's an issue.
Yeah.
You know there's an issue. But I don't know. I just feel that funeral, the music was dope. Fantasia was great. And then people were criticizing Ariana Grande about her dress. Now, I understand that.
I do understand where
I
they're
think
coming
that she,
from.
you're supposed to understand that when you come in, because there is a clip, you've got to see it, of Aretha Franklin, where AJ from Access Hollywood, whatever, he was talking to her and asked her opinion about new artists. What does she think should change? She specifically was saying, well, I think that they should dress more modestly, to a point where she was like, look at this, look at what I'm wearing. You know, my dress is below my knees. You know, it's like, just dress modestly for the occasion that you're in. And, you know, for Ariana to come up to this, where a short skirt, on a stage, big deal. But I don't know. To me, that was the last of the problems with that dude groping on her.
Right.
But that was, I think that, and people were conflating the two. Like, oh, well, he was groping on her because she was wearing that dress. I'm like,
Don't you dare
make
it a no.
God,
don't blame the
serious?
victim.
And of course, these were a bunch of men saying this about. I don't know. It's I got to look at his fingers, because I don't doubt that his fingers were reaching up, but dude has a problem, and I bet that is not the first time.
That is not the first time that he's touched a woman inappropriately or made her feel uncomfortable.
And that was on TV. Anyway, we'll come back.
Please listen carefully.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Zod,
And I'm Drea.
and we want you to check out the Zod and Drea podcast every Tuesday.
Where can everybody find us at?
You can always check us out on www.zodanddrea.com.
Where else?
You can always check us out also on Facebook at Zod and Drea.
Instagram?
Zod and Drea.
Snapchat?
Zod and Drea.
YouTube?
Zod and Drea.
I see a pattern.
I see a pattern. So if you haven't caught that, catch us at Zod and Drea on all the social networks. But also, make sure you subscribe to the Zod and Drea podcast. Where?
At zodanddrea.com.
And also on YouTube and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. We're coming for you.
Let us know what you think, and if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
And put all of your input into whatever our topics are for the week. So we hope to check you out and see you there.
Bye!
All right, we're back.
Ready for this?
All right, so this one's going to probably take up the entire 15 minutes. So we're going to talk about corporate entities that stand up for political issues. All right, corporate entities that stand up for political issues. And of course, this came about because recently Nike had already come out for the 30th anniversary.
Can you believe it's been 30 years?
30 years of Just Do It. 30 years of Just Do It. Those three simple words. And of course, Colin Kaepernick is one of the faces of this campaign for the 30. And look, this is what's so... You're going to get people that are going to be critics of and against.
Yes, we get that.
So let's talk about both of those really quick before we get into the political issues. Those who think that it's for, like, it's a good thing for Colin. Now, I'm for it. Me personally, I think it's a good thing because it highlights an issue and it magnifies it. With Nike going behind Colin Kaepernick's protest, like Colin Kaepernick and his protest.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing what the NFL is too scared to do and back up their player. It's like, you know what? This guy is bringing an issue that's very real to a bunch of people in the United States. It's very real. Police brutality, it happens many times, like 2.5 times at least to 5 times towards black people than it does whites. And it's a big issue. There should, we can even talk about, a school to prison pipeline and prison reform. There are a lot of things that are connected to this. But people will also take that and say, oh, you're disrespecting the flag and and they were trying to make talk about protests. These people were also the same people saying they were going to protest the NFL because Colin Kaepernick was doing it. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the NFL blinked, and then they listened to Donald Trump, of all people, and said, oh, you know what? You're going to have to stand up for this. But now that's being fought.
Right.
Where now, they don't have to. But the whole thing was Colin Kaepernick started this, no different than John Carlos and Tommy Smith did at the 1968 Olympics, raising their fist to bring awareness. Mm-hmm. No different than Rosa Parks sitting on a bench to bring awareness. There's certain people in history that did this, and he's being crucified for it. So for Nike to take this and make him one of the campaign people, they're risking a lot of sales being lost. But if it's any indication of people who are going to boycott Starbucks and football, they won't for long. Like, they won't.
They'll
they
be
just
temporary.
Don't.
They're still going to buy that jersey.
They're going to buy it
mm-hmm.
because they always do. And it's a really good look for Cap, who's been paid since 2011 for this campaign. So I'll let you continue on.
Well, and I know that from reading from those that think that this is not really supporting the true issue of why he was even protesting. You have people that are not necessarily against what he's doing, but feel that it's still not changing and still not really impacting what the issue is, and that is, again, police brutality against black people and people of color. And you've got some people that are just hating, that just not shouldn't say hating on it, but are just still like, no, that you shouldn't applaud him for this because he's still getting paid. Because I guess he was still on being not a retainer, but he was still one of Nike's athletes that they would still be on contract from 2011, right? That he was still getting proceeds, still just getting one of their monies like any other athlete, right? Mm-hmm. So, but what the point is of that people have also to combat that is that look at the money he's donated to causes. Look at all of them. Really millions of dollars that he's donated for social justice causes.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's raised. I mean, he definitely, believe he donated at least $1 million
mm-hmm.
of his own. But he was also donating shoes. He was donating time,
right?
Clothing. So he was doing a lot more than just sitting there kneeling. He was actually backing up a lot of his actions in order to back up the community. While other people who were bitching and complaining about his protest mm-hmm. were doing absolutely nothing except making it all about themselves. So, in other words, when you see somebody protesting, you shouldn't say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this about me. And I'm going to find something that's insulting about it. Oh, you know what? Oh, I see he's protesting. I heard what he's protesting about. But you know what? He should do it somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And he should do it in another venue. In other words, he should make me really comfortable for where I am because I don't want to be aware of whatever he's talking about. Nike took up the mantle to make sure that it was amplified because all you see on my Twitter timeline is Colin Kaepernick and also on my Facebook timeline.
So do you think Nike's going to lose money on this? Do you think they're going to lose customers? Do you really think it's going to make an impact?
What's so ill about them is the fact that they've been doing all this stuff. They took on the Serena Williams where they had now banned her catsuit, specifically her catsuit. And, she's like, you know what? Go ahead and ban my cat suits. I'm going to wear a tutu. And what?
Oh, at the French Open, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact that they are backing up their athletes because they're doing something that a lot of people would have not done. Just like the All Lives Matter people, the NFL who couldn't stand up for their players who were kneeling and, discussing these issues. For so many other people where they just need somebody to have their back, and corporations are like, nah, you know what? Screw that. I'm not going to really, follow your issue. Instead, I'm going to punish the players. Mm-hmm. NFL was doing the exact opposite of what Nike did. The exact opposite. And instead of bringing awareness to that, and, for the other side of people, the other side that people are complaining about is they're like, oh, this doesn't really go to the heart of the matter. They're complaining about Nike's. They're just going to make a profit. They're just doing this for profit and all this other stuff and
promotion.
They're doing which is true. It's a business. Of course they are, but they are also taking a risk, and you have to take every single battle that you can. And if there is a company that is actually finally a company that is major, that is making moves, that is on your side, that is on that side, because remember, if Nike said, you know what, we would love to have Colin Kaepernick, but we don't believe in people kneeling, people would still complain.
Right.
They would then complain, oh, well, Nike's not cool because Nike, where were people that weren't on Nike's side, 2 weeks ago,
Right.
about whatever issue that it isn't that they like. So I got to congratulate and be on the side of Nike on this one, despite, any negatives that they have, whatever it is, but I'm supportive of them because they support Kaepernick and in this campaign. Just to be clear, I don't know if they're still doing sweatshops and all this other stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit maybe another time about the child labor laws and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I don't know if they're doing that, but they're taking on a mantle of something that is highlighting a critical issue in the black community that Kaepernick was not hired and he was banned from the NFL, blacklisted from the NFL for. And so Nike makes the NFL's jerseys and some of their other stuff,
And
so it's
now
kind
it's
of
going
funny.
to court too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's going to court.
Yeah, he went their day in court's going to be progressing forward, so that's going to be interesting to follow and see.
So why don't you talk about some of these other corporate entities that have done things?
Well, there's some. So if you talk about when you were talking about how especially social media has now has this platform now when it comes to where people can share and post about their experiences for everything now. How this restaurant was, how I was treated at the airport, how pretty much everything and anything a consumer wants to vent about, they can do it on social media. So when it comes to now for boycotts, there is I've been noticing a lot more trending, if you will, of boycotting certain restaurants. Like say for instance, just lately you had In-N-Out. In-N-Out, some of their shareholders were found to have contributed over $100,000 to the California GOP, to the California GOP, right, to do whatever they wanted to do, right? So a lot of people were like, wait a second, I don't want to go to In-N-Out in California and pay for my burger and have them use that money, the shareholders' money that they get from a percentage of your sales, to be used then for their political issues. So there was now a big trend of boycotting, In-N-Out. And then it was all of a sudden, then a few Republican congressmen were saying, hey, In-N-Out, if you're going to leave California, come over here. Then instead, we'll support you because we're Republican and we will definitely support you.
Yeah.
So you've got that trending. And if you look into even with Starbucks, when in April, April, I think the incident happened where it was in Philadelphia where their racist employee called the cops on two black men that were having a meeting in the cafe. And we know everywhere in Starbucks, you can just sit down and people have meetings there all the time, right? So when that was filmed, big boycott protest was going on. I mean, there were protests at the Philly location, at other Starbucks locations where people were upset and wanted change to happen. So immediately Starbucks, responded to that pressure. And not only, I think that same day, I think that employee was fired. And then they had a day where they shut down all the Starbucks across the country for half a day to do pretty much training for their employees to learn how to deal with people of color and diversity, right? It was a sad thing to do, but they did it. And that just goes to show you how when social media went nuts, how the pressure from the consumers can really change an organization.
But also with Starbucks, people who create issues. There are people who like to create issues.
Yeah.
Starbucks has been banned 50 times. One of the times was, of course, every year. This year it's going to happen again, too, where someone's going to not like the cups during Christmas time, and they're going to want to be like, oh, you know what, I got an issue with, and they're going to sit there and ban Starbucks for, a whole 3 days or so.
Oh, the sacrifice that they make. Such a sacrifice.
But, in Starbucks' defense on how they treated the black men, like, they rushed into, they were doing interviews, doing everything. Now, of course, it's a corporation, so, of course, they're going to want to protect their brand, but they also went above and beyond what most corporations do, because a lot of corporations will, if I had to talk about a corporation that covers up an issue, let's talk about the Catholic Church while we're at it.
Oh.
I'll talk about them real quick. It's like the Catholic Church has been what they've been covering up. I think 1,000 cases that they came upon. and someone had posted something saying 26 years ago, someone else had brought up the issue of the Catholic Church molesting kids and abusing kids, and they crucified her for it. Sinead O'Connor.
Right, when she ripped a photo of the Pope.
And she said it wasn't the Pope that she was angry at, it's what he stood for in the institution. But, just like that institution did not take upon, they could have easily taken upon the mantle to say, hey, you know what, this is a bad thing. So we are going to find this issue and we're going to fight this as hard as we can across, whatever. And that corporation, if you want to call it that, I mean, they make money.
They have what did you say that to? The Rome or the Vatican? It's its own government, right?
The Vatican's its own country. The fact that they're not going to reprimand people or they come out so far in order to protect their brand. See, and that's the thing with Nike. There's some people that go out so far to protect their brand because they're too scared to jump on a social issue. Then there's this with Colin Kaepernick where they're like, you know what, we're gonna roll the dice, and yeah, it's a dicey thing to do, but it's like it's whether you like it or not, whether you're on either side of that issue of, oh, you know what, I don't like Nike for this, and you know what, I like Nike for this, you're going to have to take a stand on whether or not it's good for the nation, if that makes any sense. It is. It's a good ploy because it magnifies, not ploy, it is a good excuse for people to be able to have a discussion. I was having a conversation online with a friend. Hello, friend, you know who I'm talking about, who said that there are two sides of the issue, of the Colin Kaepernick issue. And, both sides, pretty much the military people who are angry with it and also the protest. And I'm like, to me, there's only one side. Or there are two sides, but there's only one side of that issue. And the issue is a two-sided issue, meaning it's somebody kneeling in order to bring awareness to I guess, police brutality and the police brutality. So that's it. It's like, I'm kneeling because of this issue. That's where it starts and stops.
Right.
Anybody else who creates or looks at something else, so they go ahead and they look at it like, you know what, this is about the troops. You manufactured that. You created that. That did not exist. That was not what it's about. You made that up. Right. So you created a side. So that side doesn't exist. No, that's not the side. That's something you manufactured. You actually created a whole brand new issue that doesn't count. Nike's not addressing that issue. They're addressing the issue of police brutality by having Colin Kaepernick there. They're not talking about the military. They're not talking about any of that. It's about somebody who loses anything to stand for something. And, that's a company that stood for something. Starbucks. They also got crap they got crap.
Right.
For having that day off or whatever. First of all the coffee drink, the racism, shut up. It was something that was necessary.
Sensitivity training, that's what it's called. Sensitivity training. Well, and think about it too. You've got another major organization, NRA, right? They are not budging when it comes to their devotion to supporting then gun rights and the Second Amendment, right? Even after the Parkland shooting. All the shootings, they will not budge, right? And even to the point where they lost sponsorship. So a lot of corporations that were giving discounts to their members bailed after the Parkland shooting. And like some of them were like Delta Airlines. I think it was Budget and Avis, the rental companies, like even like MetLife. So even when they were starting to lose big money donors, they still didn't budge. Because that's what they believe in.
Because they believe in that more than human life.
Right.
But that's their right to do so.
That's their right.
That's their right to do so.
Won't budge.
Go ahead.
They won't budge.
Real quick, I know we're out of time now. Same friend I talked to, how come nobody complained when the NFL was wearing pink shoes, wearing pink for cancer research? You ever notice that?
No, they won't say a thing.
They didn't say anything. Nobody complained that saying that this is not the right time, this is not the right whatever.
Right.
Funny. Anyway, I want to retract something also. I went and looked at the video of Ariana Grande and Now This. Shout out to Now This, because what they did was they magnified the video to really show this man's hands, because I didn't really look at the videos hard. This man was groping her. He was straight up under. He wasn't just groping her. He was moving his fingers up toward, in the exact same motion that you were saying, up under. Now, you are bigger than she is. He got enough space to where you got to see it. Yeah. No, you're wrong, Ellis. I think it's Reverend Ellis. You were doing that and you were
moving the digits. You knew damn well what you were doing.
He was moving his digits to feel her. So he knew what he was doing. So my apologies for anything that I said earlier that might have upset people. Anyway, check us out, ZodandDrea.com, at ZodandDrea everywhere, all right?
Bye.